We have a great guest today. So, oh, look, and my Wi-Fi is slowing down. Oh, goody. Oh, joy. I have no idea how this is recording now, but hopefully it's okay.
We can record the rest later.
Yeah, well, I was just wondering if you had your shit together this week.
I'm going to go ahead and be bold and say I really fucking had my shit together.
Nice.
Yes.
Like that. Yeah.
Yes. My children all got to school on time and I was needed for some of that. I comforted my Sammy when he got back from school because, it's been the worst week ever so far for him in his entire 11 years. I know he doesn't do with transitions really well. And it's a new time schedule because he's used to 7:30 to 2:00. Yeah. And now it's 9:00 to 4:30. So that's his whole entire day. And they try to give him homework. And I'm going to have a word with somebody during his 504 plan meeting about that. But anyways, so there's that. He's taking the bus for the first time in his life, which he's actually not complaining about and hasn't sprayed anyone with hand sanitizer. Yeah. So there's that.
Love it. I love that he does that.
He got really close to doing it yesterday in school. He's like, people kept on touching me. I'm like, did you spray anyone? He's like, no, but I was gonna. I'm like, if you're gonna spray people, spray at their hands, not their face. Okay. That's, just keep that in mind. But, so it's a new school. He doesn't know anyone there. And so it's been a lot. So he's come home and cried for a minute and then got on his tech and then he's fine. But still, I'm like, buddy, Isaac, no problem, of course. He's just like, I'm a senior now. I'm going to go work out. I'm like, not really. I'm going to go work out, Mom. I'm like, okay.
So you're about to experience the best year and the worst year.
I mean, here's to hoping. And that's how it's been going so far. And I have had my dating life together.
Oh, nice. Do tell.
Because I decided I've only been on these dating websites for a month. 3 of them. And I'm like, I'm all done with this. This is boring. It's bullshit.
Yeah. It's not fun.
I feel like it's a job.
Yes.
Right? It feels like a job.
Yes.
And also I only just hit my 6 weeks from surgery. So I am now allowed to be as active as I want, but I have to sort of build up to it. So before that, I couldn't do as much work as I wanted. So it was kind of my job to be on dating websites. So I decided I'm going to do 5 dates and then I'm allowed to delete all of my profiles.
Nice. Love it.
So
5 dates with 5 different people or 5 dates with the same person? Okay.
5 dates with 5 different people. So I had date number 2 on Sunday. I had date number 2 and date number 3 planned, but date number 3 had to rearrange and I haven't heard from him. So I'm like, he's like, I'm really interested. I'm like, okay, it's okay if you're not interested. I'm not going to have my feelings there. Know what you like. And he's like, okay, but I'm really interested. I'm like, I'll just leave the ball in your court for rescheduling. Haven't heard from him. So that's fine. I'm like, why is it so hard to be like, I don't think we're really each other's thing. So I'm a jet. That's totally cool.
Yeah.
I've said it.
Hey, I don't even let the first meeting be a date. I tell the guys, I don't like chatting on this thing forever. I want to meet you in person. I think it's the best way to know whether or not someone is going to click with you or not. Let's go get coffee or let's get a drink. And at the end, and then they're always like, oh, can I have your number? And I'm like, no, we can chat through this until we meet. And once we meet, if I want to go on a date with you, I'll give you my number. And if I don't, we'll shake hands and say, it was nice to meet you. The end. It's not hard to do.
I think that's very smart. Also, you look adorable. You were in too small of a screen before. And now you look great. I love your sweater. I love your colors. I think you look fantastic. Anyway.
Oh, thanks, Kate. Well, yeah.
So the second date went really well. I would go on another date with that guy. He's pretty cool,
Second date guy, if you're listening, hit Kate up. She'll go on a second date with you.
He's my Facebook friend now, so he might see it. We'll see. But no, we're probably gonna go out again. But I don't know if it's gonna I don't know if it's gonna go romantic, but it's really we got along really well and we had fun and it was cool. So I'm like, okay, All right.
Very cool.
So I've got date number 3 and date number 4 scheduled for this weekend. So I just need one more.
You
Just
got this.
one.
You got
I
this.
got this. And I've had to be the aggressor in every single one. I'm like, okay, let's just get this arranged here. All right.
Yeah.
This day, this time, this place.
Yes.
What do you think? They're like, oh, okay. I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, let's just get this moving. I want to get my quota so I can get out of here.
Out of like the 50 million guys that I've matched with on Facebook dating, I've only had 2 that didn't make me do all the work of the meetup, the initial meetup. Yeah.
Children.
2 of them. And do you know how sexy that is when the guy's like, I want to take you out, meet me here at this time, at this place. Like, I love a guy that can make decisions. It's so fucking sexy.
Right? Like, you're talking to me. Are you talking to me because you're bored or because you want to talk to me in person? Like, it's cool. Tell me which one so I can, because you're wasting
Even
my
the guys
time.
that want to meet up in person, then they just like, still, okay, well, when do you want to meet? You know, like I still have to like, when are you free? Where would you like to meet? What time? What place? Like, I still have to do all of that, like prompting, even if they say we should meet in person. It's like they're afraid to, I don't know, show their cards. I don't know what
Or
it
show
is.
their initiative or.
But those 2
Although-
guys, they both got second dates because that's fucking hot when you can just say to a girl, like, yeah, I want to meet you in person. Show up at this restaurant at this time. Like, okay, I'm there, man. I am there.
Nice. I did give a little a leeway with, I think, date number 4. I was like, let's meet up. Let's meet up Sunday at this time in Woodstock. And he's like, okay. And I was like, you want to meet here or here? I'm like, that's one little decision.
Yeah.
Just
yeah.
And
Yeah.
he made it. Good job. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see if both dates, if neither one of them cancel, or, or whatever. We'll see how it goes. But if I can manage to get all 3 of my remaining dates in one weekend,
Ooh,
the victory.
nice. That would be
I
good.
don't even mind if they go horribly. I don't think they will, though. I think they're going to be fun dates, but we'll see.
Well, I can't wait to hear next week how your dates went. Yeah.
Maybe you'll hear as soon as I'm done with them.
Maybe, but don't waste that podcast gold.
Yes, ma'am. No wasting podcast gold. Gracious. And how have you been? Have you had your shit together this week?
Okay, I have so totally had my shit together. I think I told you last week I started using this new app called Fabulous. I
You did.
love it so much. I like barely anything has happened. The first habit was drink water as soon as you wake up. I've done that every day since I started the thing. The second one was eat breakfast. Eat breakfast right away. First thing, eat breakfast. And I'd gotten out of that habit. So it's kind of hard to do. I'm like forcing one scrambled egg down my throat, like, oh, I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat this, but I eat it. And then the third habit that I just added was exercise. Before you do anything else, exercise. So, and it can just be like 10 minutes, just a quick 10-minute walk, or just dance it out to 2 songs. Just move your body. So as soon as I wake up every morning now, I'm drinking water, eating a healthy breakfast, and moving my body. And I feel so good. Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
That's amazing.
I love it. Oh, and I added a bedtime habit. And like the bedtime habit is you get to pick which one you want. And I picked tidy up for 10 minutes. And
Oh, that's so cool.
yeah, I just pick an area like it was the first few nights it was in my room. I would just like declutter a part of the closet, or I would put away the laundry that had been folded in the basket for 3 days and wasn't away, or I'd wipe down the surfaces that had gotten dusty. And like my room's, I mean, it's looking really good now. So last night I did the dishes before I went to bed. I went to bed with an empty sink. That never happens in my house.
I hate going to bed with a full sink. But I also have an ant problem, so
Have you tried Turo?
I haven't yet, but that's going to be the next thing I try, because
I swear by
finally
it.
tried.
I swear by it.
Everyone does. Everyone
Yeah.
who has suggested it swears by it. I came upon, I was visiting my little sister-in-law, and she had a bag of Diatomaceous earth.
Mhm.
I'm saying it wrong. But she had it and she gave it to me. So I've tried that. Like, I shoveled it down all the little nooks and crannies, and it seemed to work all day. And then in the morning, there's like a swarm of them. I'm like, what is this, powdered sugar? Like, what the hell? So
Well, you need to know with the Turo, or the tarot or however you say it, it gets worse before it gets better. They will swarm the poison. And that means it's working. It's going to be like a horror movie. You will suddenly be like the whole in the little plastic thing with the poison in it will just be like covered and moving and black and just ants everywhere pouring in towards it. But that's what you want, because they eat it, they take some back to the wherever they're living, they feed it to everybody, and then you never see them again.
That's what they said about the borax and about the diatomaceous earth, and I'm like,
okay, but I don't use anything but this ever anymore. And I used to have.
I'll try it.
Yeah, it's the only one I've used for like, I don't know, 12 years. And the other thing is, if they built an ant colony like in your sump pump or something, you're going to need professional intervention. Like if they've built their colony inside your house, it doesn't matter how much you poison them.
They just keep coming from behind that cabinet. And I'm like, I can only do so much. I get, you know.
Yeah. Well, good luck with that. Keep us updated on, Ant Watch 2022. And I think we should get right to our next speaker. So, Kate, I would like to introduce you to this week's guest, April Stone, my friend from work. Didn't we have someone in our high school named April Stone growing up?
Yeah, I think.
Okay, well, this is not that April Stone. Real good faking on our second take here. Yeah, this looks totally natural. Like this is the first time we've had this conversation. Good job.
Oh yeah, we've never had this conversation before. It's fine.
Yes,
you could have let me do it, but no.
I'm sorry, I'm a control freak.
I know you are. It's fine. I love you anyway.
So this April Stone.
I'm an out of control freak.
Okay.
I just came up with that.
April Stone, our guest today, is a friend of mine that I met at work, and she's actually my birthday buddy. We were born on the exact same day, and I love her to death. Yeah. And she is my sister in spirit, and I can't wait to hear what she has to say to us today. Please welcome April Stone.
Welcome, April Stone. For you, I doff my hat.
Happy Friday. Happy Friday.
Hi, April. Happy Friday.
I love that. I love that hat, Kate. That's pretty cool.
Oh, Kate is so fun.
I know.
So April, did you have your shit together this week?
I'd say half and half.
Yeah.
That's a common answer.
What's an example of a time you had your shit together this week?
Telling my teenager to make sure she had everything she needed with her to go get her license. And it was funny because while we were sitting in the motor vehicles, she's like, "Mom, where's my phone?" And I was like, I don't know. And apparently she left it at home. I was like, "Look, as long as you got the permit, that's all that we care about. Okay, that's what we're here to do. You got the phone. When you go back home, not to mention you need to probably woosah. Like you're about to, go through, I'm sure, this course that they have for you, and you just need to be focused on that anyway, right?" So I felt like her not having that distraction was actually a good thing.
Well done.
Thank you. Because actually that was I think just as important to me, if not more important to me, so I don't have to take them to school anymore. So it's
important not to lose our cool with our teenagers.
Hey, that's a big congratulations. Having a kid get their license, that's huge. Congratulations.
Huge.
Yeah. You definitely have your shit together.
When the guy was finished taking her out on the road, he asked her, he's like, "Tell your mom how you think you did." She's like, "I think I passed." And I was like, "I'm pretty sure you did." And he was like, "Wow, like she must have nerves of steel. Like she wasn't even, she didn't even flinch or, or hesitate."
Oh my God.
I was like, "No, she knows what she's doing because I taught her." So,
Not just that's Jaden.
Yeah. That's the appropriate answer.
Jaden is this gorgeous, gorgeous young woman who is brilliant and composed. And if she gets rattled, she just looks more composed and more fierce. The more rattled she gets, the more composed and fierce she looks. And you start to feel like you've done something wrong and you start to feel insecure. But really, it's just that she's rattled. She is like a boss. I love her.
She might be our next president.
She might be our next president.
That's the sort of face and like energy that a president needs to have.
Yes.
That we haven't seen for a while, bless. But
Ever?
you know,
Oh,
well,
Calm and cool
no.
under pressure.
yeah.
I'm trying to be generous because like maybe my childhood interpretation of what a president should be is not what presidents have ever actually been.
That part.
It's just an ideal we haven't managed to successfully get yet because we haven't had a lady president is what I'm guessing.
Yes,
So,
yes. And Obama is about probably the closest thing I've ever seen in my
Right?
life, right?
He was like the JFK of our time.
oh,
Like,
he was
perfect
better than
family,
JFK. I think it's insulting when
handsome,
people.
well, obviously, but like visually handsome,
Okay,
charming,
visually, yes,
beautiful family,
yes,
intelligent.
Yes, okay. But in all other
And funny.
aspects, I think it's very insulting to compare him to JFK because he had a solid marriage. He is such a good man, and JFK was kind of
I was just
A
comparing him like propaganda wise. Like,
Right,
how
right,
does
right,
Obama
yes.
look as the president?
absolutely.
He looked great as a president. I liked listening to him. He was very charismatic, you know.
And I just
I
don't know.
wouldn't really compare him to JFK.
I don't know about JFK's sense of humor. Obama, he kills me. He is so fucking funny.
I think he's hilarious.
He really is. Like,
And his wife
To
is such a
be-
boss. I'm like, can we have more of that energy?
All right, manifestation moment. Manifestation moment. One
Manifestation.
day, our podcast is going to be so famous. We're going to have Obama as a guest,
oh, that would be awesome, Todd.
and then
I
we're
would
going to
shit
know that
myself.
we made it.
Like actively. Just,
All right, but back to you, April. This is about you, April, not about Obama.
yes, I don't know where that went. Let's talk about politics. Psych. No. Anyway, way to have your daughter get her driver's license. Boss action right there.
Yeah. So it looks like you have on a Game of Thrones t-shirt. Is that your I Drink and Know Things t-shirt?
That would be correct.
Yes.
Love it.
I love it.
But
The House of Stone here, but you know,
House of Stone. Yes.
that's an
respect.
awesome house. And I'm House of Waters. That's so cool.
That's so cool. And
That's
I'm the
right.
House
It
of
was-
the Schwartz.
Maybe Schwartz means like air or fire. Maybe Schwartz means fire. And you
It
can be
means
House of Fire.
power is what it means. Power. It does. It means black in German, but close enough.
Okay, cool. House of Black. All right. But the reason we invited you here, April, I'm so sorry. Kate and I haven't seen each other or talked to each other in 7 days. We're just going crazy. But we did invite you here for a reason. And the reason we invited you here was we would like to know, when you were growing up, what impression did you get from your parents that it meant to have your shit together? What did it mean then? What did the adults around you convey to you then the meaning was? What did it mean to have your shit together? What does it mean to
Okay.
you now? How do you define it now that you're an adult? And do you have your shit together by either definition? Go.
okay, so let's answer the last question first. I
Okay.
don't have all my shit together. No. As far as my parents, and I think it's just interesting, especially from a child's perspective, and
Yeah.
it's relative, right? Because it's subjective to different people. Everybody has a different experience. But as far as for me, my parents, I mean, I do feel like they definitely had their shit together. And one of the obvious reasons to me is because they had me later in life. So my mom was like 36 when I was born, and my dad was 47. So you're talking about pretty much fully grown adults having, I would say, a bit of a life-changing, child. I think part of the reason why is because, for my mom, she had a lot of medical issues going on before I came along. And so I'm what's known as like the rainbow baby. I'm sure you guys have heard that before. And my parents were always, I would say for the most part, they were pretty strict, but they were loving. And I think that also that was a good and a bad thing, right? It's a good balance. And sometimes it sucks, especially when you want to go places, as I got older, it's like, all these questions, who are you playing with, all the questions that parents ask, right? And so kind of fast forward to now, and I feel like now I'm able to use some of those things in terms of ways that my parents taught me, how to identify, the right people to be with. And sometimes the obvious signs are there, the people you probably shouldn't be around.
Word.
And it's interesting too, because like, I don't know that how do I want to say this? Like, you know, when your parents like teach you about the birds and the bees and stuff. And I think my dad's saying, it was so funny. I laugh to this day. He was always say, "Don't bring no babies in this house." And I was like, "Wait, what? Like, what do you mean? Like, what if, does that mean like if I have a niece or something, they can't come over?" At the time, I didn't really quite understand that. It's like, wait, what do you mean don't bring babies in the house? You know? But that was just what he was telling me.
That's
"You're
adorable.
pregnant," and
That's so
and I
cute.
was just, and I'm like, "Wait, what?" And then I remember when I went to college and I got like my ear pierced, like right here, like the cartilage at the top, and he was like, "Oh my
Ooh.
God." He's like, "I send you to school and you eat the book," and I'm just like, who when do you come up with these things? But
I love
mind
it.
you, my parents were so much older, you know, like they have been through a lot of different like life experiences, of course. So for them, they felt like when you have a lived experience as a parent, you always I believe this really, you always want to take all the good things or all the positive things or all the learning experience that you have, and you want to tell them to your kids as early as possible so that
Mhm.
they have a lesser chance of going through things. And I feel like lived experiences as parents, as literally, and I told this to my oldest is, and I told to both of them, but I tell it to my oldest a lot, is that for me, I believe that the job of a parent is literally to be the foundation for to beam your kid up to the next level. So like, you know, if you're someone who, whether you went to college or not, I don't think that really matters. I don't think that that should really matter, because you as a person knowing that this child is literally your responsibility, right? And
Mhm.
whether you like it or not, right? And it's one of those things where either you're serious about it or you're not. And I feel like if you are serious about it with good intentions, and if you don't know things, you can either seek advice from other people,
Mhm.
or you can, you know, talk to maybe other family members for that matter, right? I think that it's just, it literally takes, I do feel like it takes a village too. I think it's difficult,
Really
even as
does.
two parents sometimes, right, to take care of a kid. And it's not because about necessarily the care and making sure they eat and they're clothed and they're, you know, and they're safe, excuse me, but I feel like it's good to have kids exposed to as many positive experiences as possible,
So,
because they can learn something out of it.
Mhm.
so it sounds
And I
Yeah.
like,
feel like with me, I felt I was sorry, Becca. Let me just finish my last
yep,
thought. I feel like
guys.
even for me, because my parents were always so strict about going places and doing things, I was like, I don't want to be that way with my kids. And then now that, you know, they're older, I feel like, you know, because I've seen so much of the world, um, it's like certain things you genuinely do not want, not only your children, you don't even want your friends' children to even have the, you know, to even experience in general, right? Certain situations that I would say girls find themselves in or can find themselves in if they're around a group of girls or females that are not thinking about the next thing, what could happen if this thing happens, what's going to come down the pipe. Like I was always one of those thinking ahead people, and I was
Mhm.
always very cautious. And so for me, my parents were cautious too, and I think that's one of the things that truly stuck with me, because I was always scared to get in trouble. I was like, I don't want to get in trouble. Like,
Mhm.
who's got time for that? You know, because I knew that if you get in trouble, there's going to be something else. There's going to be something else, right? You have this power of choice, but you don't get to choose your consequences and what happens to you. So
Mhm.
for me, it was always
What a
important
great
to like
brain you
really
have.
think things through before you just start doing stuff, or even think things through before you say stuff, because you can't unhear and you can't take back,
Yeah.
you know, certain things that you say. Like I know my dad, he would sometimes say things that I'd be like, really? Like it may have come as a thought in your mind, but it never should have come out of your mouth. and I think,
I have that
and I think
problem.
that's a good thing and a bad thing, but I
Yeah.
don't know. I just feel like for a parent, and also, like I said, because my parents were so, you know, so far apart in age, they grew up in a really much different time than me growing up in the late 70s and early 80s.
But what it sounds like to me is that when you were a kid, it seemed like what your parents conveyed to you that it meant to have your shit together was to be a good parent and raise the next generation um, as best as you can, so that the next generation is like boosted up a level from the parents' generation. And it sounds like that belief has carried through to your adulthood, that you still believe that that's true, that being a good parent and raising up the next generation is the true definition of having your shit together. Is that an accurate takeaway?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that's literally our job. I mean, that's really our job. We birth the kids, and I mean, and it's funny because like I know a lot of people say, after the kid's 18, they're going to get out of my house, and that's fine. I feel like everybody has the right to have their own feelings or choices in terms of how they want to do with their kids. But it's funny because like for me, and I don't know if it's because they're girls, but I feel like even if my kid needed my help or needed somewhere to stay, and like you're never homeless. Like wherever I am, that's where home is for you if you need it, because things are crazy out here. And,
Yeah.
you sometimes you just, and this is the thing, you don't know what you don't know. And
Yeah.
even in being young teenagers, 18, 19, going on to 20, they still haven't, formed their frontal cortex either, right? There's certain
their
things
brains aren't done.
Right.
Not
Just like
till
a baby's not done
25-ish.
cooking until, right, exactly. And look, in 25, that's when you're really, really legal. You can rent a car when you're 25, but you can't,
Mhm.
you can't do those things when you're under 25. But nonetheless, I mean, you can still get in trouble, right? You can still get in trouble at any age.
For
And
real.
it's always important to I would say keep your circle small, like your friends for the most part. And I don't mean it like in a way where
To be
not to
exclusive,
have a group of friends, right? But I think it's more so, who are the friends around you who reciprocate what friendship means to you?
Your
Like you
found
can't be the
family,
only
yeah?
one, right? You can't be the only one, even if it's. And then another thing I've noticed is that oftentimes your friends sometimes are more family than the people you're related to, and
Yeah.
that's something that to me is like it's like a real blessing to have to experience that, right? To be able to know what that feels like, to be really close friends with someone who you are not related to. To me, it makes the relationship sometimes that much more special because they don't
Yeah,
have a real
more precious.
obligation.
You're obviously talking about me, right?
Actually, yeah, I would say that's pretty accurate. Definitely.
Aw.
I know my daughters love you, and I know that like when we went to on vacation, like I don't know, like I still think back, like man, that was so cool. Like that was just a few months ago, but it feels like a long time ago,
Oh my
even though
gosh.
it really wasn't.
That trip was so
So-
fun. And that trip was right before our very first episode of this podcast. I was like texting with Kate about doing the podcast the Friday I got back.
Oh,
Yeah. That's
Yep,
this
I remember
April.
that.
This is who I was in New York City with. Yep.
that's awesome.
So April, do you
Yeah.
Your trip with April was more fun than your trip with me.
Kate, I
Or
did
my
not come
trip
to
while you were
Georgia.
here.
You cannot compare that actually, Kate, because I know why Becca was there with you in Georgia.
Yeah, you're like
She's doing
comparing
things there to
apples
Care
and
of me.
shovels. Like you're comparing apples and shovels, not even apples and oranges. Like an apple is for
They're not
eating.
even the same fruit.
Like it's not even like a shovel is for doing a job. Like I did not come to Georgia to have a fun trip and sightsee. I came to Georgia to take care of my dear friend. And I had a
And you
great
did
and
such a
Richard-
great job.
And Kate, that is the perfect example of what I just said, that sometimes your friends can take place of family members in some
Yeah.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
it's a real blessing because I feel like, God puts those people in your life for that reason.
Mhm.
For real. Yeah.
Now, I just want to ask, how has being Black impacted your ability to have your shit together? And is there anything you want to say about that? Like parenting while Black, raising Black children, being a Black child? Because I think that's probably been a big factor in your life.
I mean, it has. I think for me, I've come, obviously across my own experiences with the real world. And I think for me, what I noticed, and I'm not sure if you ladies are aware of this at all, and I'm not really trying to, put in necessarily a negative thing because I feel like there's always a lesson in something. But one thing that was always important to me is, and this is definitely actually something I carried from being younger, right, when I was a teenager, was that you don't need to do anything outside of who you are. You shouldn't have to do anything outside of who you are, who you feel that you are, to make other people like you.
Yeah.
And I think that that's something that is, like across the board, not necessarily just for being Black, but I think in terms of, it's funny that you asked me that too, because I think back to the fact that I didn't even know I was Black until I was 8. And I know that sounds really weird, but I'll give you the quick story. So ironically, I was born in DC, and I went to private school basically my whole time. Went to Montessori school and then private school, and I went to school with the whole uniforms, the nuns, everything. Went to Catholic school.
I'm so sorry.
I mean, of course, at the time I didn't know. I didn't, it wasn't a thing, right? But when I look back to it, right, it was funny because when we left DC, we moved to Maryland, Montgomery County, and I went to elementary school there, and it was weird because whereas when I was going to private school, the faculty, they never referred to us as that little Black girl or that little white girl or that little whatever. They never said anything like that. It was more so their name, right? Their first and last name. If there was more than one of them, then you use the first and last name, right? And so I think for me,
that should be normal.
That was exactly right. So ironically, right? So then we moved to Maryland, like I said, and people would ask me, well, not a lot of people, but you have your cuckoo heads in there, mixed in with everybody else with the general population. Yeah. And it's like, what are you? You don't look like, you're Black. And I used to be like, wait, what? What are you talking about? Like, who's Black? I'd be like, it was funny. It was literally like, what? And then also at lunchtime, I think was when I really got an eye opener, was like everybody was sitting separate by race for the most part. Like, the white kids were here, maybe the Asian kids were here, Black kids here. It was weird because
it was still the 80s.
I still remember walking into the lunchroom with my tray. Like, where do I sit? Because it's where I came from, everybody sat together. It wasn't like people were. And I think I was so confused. And I remember going home that day and telling my mom, I think I was crying. I was like, Mom, somebody told me I was Black. What does that mean? Like, what's going on? And my mom was like, so about that, and so I was just like, but is it a bad thing? And she's like, no, it's not a bad thing, And I think for me, and it's so funny, to even think about talking about this, but it's not a bad thing to be whoever and whatever you are, right? And I think that this world, not just this country, this world has gone through a lot of trouble. And when somebody's willing to go through a lot of trouble to make you think that you're lesser than, you have to think there's something else going on. It's not just just come out, you just pull this out the clear blue sky, right? That's something or somebody's classified as this. And when people go through a lot of trouble to do that, the same way that they went through a lot of trouble to do this Roe versus Wade thing, there's got to be something wrong, right? And so I've actually been reading this book, and I know, Becca, I've told you about it, and I know that everyone, worships differently, whatever it is that you do spiritually, religiously, whatever that is. I believe we're all here to help better ourselves and definitely share the good information and with everyone else maybe who's interested, but we aren't here to push what we feel or we believe on anyone else. That is not inherently something that anyone should ever feel like they have to do. But when you feel like you have to do that, there must be some sort of threat, right?
Yes.
And so for me, it's like, and it's also a high level of ignorance, and not only just ignorance, but willful ignorance. Like you want to be stupid. It's almost like going to Costco and getting your groceries, and then you see this big, huge box of stupid in bulk, and they take it out with them for free when they leave. How can you want to be stupid and you just bought groceries? Like those two things don't make sense. It's like, I want to go to school, but I want to skip class. Well, if you're not here to learn, you're here to be stupid, you can do that at home. You know,
Right?
you know,
Your home would be stupid.
you're right. And then, it's just, some things to me,
But
it's
wait,
like sometimes when
wait.
people,
What book were you going to tell us about? You were going to tell us about a book.
so the book is called When God Was a Black Woman and Why She Isn't Now. And that's it's interesting
I'm
because
intrigued already.
you should be intrigued. Actually, the book is I got it on Amazon, and it wasn't that I got the book necessarily to try to, I guess, educate people. It's more so, I remember at one time I was 17 years old, and my dad used to use me not going to church against me. So like if I didn't go to church on that Sunday, then I couldn't do any activities with my friends for the week. It was like, really, like, this is what we're doing. Like, and I think for me, you know how sometimes you have this feeling in your gut that something doesn't feel right, whether it be a situation, whether it be a message you heard, whatever. And I was like, Dad, I don't believe quite what you believe. I feel like there's something else going on. And let me tell you why. When you look at the Bible, hypothetically, and you see that they're giving a description in clear English, what, let's say Jesus looks like. But then you go to a church that's predominantly white and you see this image. And you're like, so if they're already lying to me about this, what else are they lying about in this book?
Yeah. That was a really smart connection to make so early on.
And it's funny because there was no Amazon when I was 17. I couldn't just order the book. I didn't even know the book even existed. Matter of fact, I didn't even know that the feelings that I had no way to substantiate them. I didn't have any proof. And so I remember looking through Amazon and like just Googling weird phrases just to see what would come up. And then I found the book. And I think what it does for me is it really reminds me really truly how important women and their roles, and not even just their roles as in roles that have been assigned to them. I say roles that women choose to do, right? I don't care what that is or what that looks like, right? I feel like
representation as female.
Exactly. And I feel like if women in general just knew the power that they literally have, and in terms of embracing that and not letting someone who doesn't have to live in your body,
that we must be powerful beyond belief, because society spends so much time trying to strip us of our power.
Exactly. And it's just one of those things where, like I said, if people are going through this kind of trouble to do certain stuff, you must be threatened in some way, shape, or form.
And it's not just the taking away our rights. It's the little things that we do ourselves, that we've done since we were little, that we don't even realize we're doing. Like, I used to say, oh, I'm not like other girls. Like, as if being like a girl was a bad thing.
I used to say that too.
Yeah.
I used to say that too.
Like, as if
I was a huge tomboy.
Disdain. Right. Yeah.
And right. And I was like, yeah, sorry, Becca.
No, just that whole clique way of being, and like the idea that,
or like you throw like a girl. I'm like, good. Which kind of?
Well, not just that, but like
I challenged somebody on that recently. like an athletic girl, like an Olympic athlete girl. Or we're talking like a 3-year-old girl. What kind of girl am I throwing?
And it's funny because it's funny you say that, Kate, because for me, I knew that I always knew I was a girl. I always knew that, I was cool with being a girl. Only time I hated being a girl was when my period was there, right? But I say that to say, because I played high school football for a small stint, and
awesome.
all the work that was done to make sure that I did not make it was unbelievable. Like, if I could write a book about the atrocities.
When April says she played high school football, she means with the boys. She was on the boys football team.
I would hope that's what that meant.
Yeah, it's not like she started a girls football team. None of that bullshit. Just let me try out.
No offense, but
I am a person who wants to play football. Let me try out and see if I can make the team. Yeah.
And I blamed my dad. He was so mad. My mom was super mad because I had just finished modeling school at Barbizon. She was like, wait a second. You're going from skirt to now you're putting on pads and playing with boys. Like, what
Hell
did
yeah.
I do wrong? Where did I go wrong? And I remember telling my mom, like, I don't have anything else I'm good at. I'm like, you can blame your husband because he makes me watch football. This is I guess at the time it was one of the only TVs that was in the house. He would watch it. I was forced to watch football. What do you want me to do? And he was like, well, I didn't expect you to want to go play it. And I remember telling him when I was in middle school, right. And I remember when I was in middle school and I was like, hey, Dad, you're coming to the school tomorrow because the coaches are coming from the high school to talk to us about, starting 9th grade, JV football. And he's looking at me like he really did not believe me. And I was like, oh, so when I don't come home on the bus,
of you right now. I'm so proud.
I was like, when I don't come home on the bus, you know why. And if you're not there, I will go to the office and call you because, of course, there were no cell phones back then. I was like, I will call you and make you come here. You have to come pick me up. Like, come on. Like, don't make me do that. You already know I'm going to do it. So just be there.
Yeah.
Please write this book.
Yeah. She kind of buried the lead, didn't she?
I will read the hell out of it.
Yeah. Well, April, we could talk to you all day, but I know you and I both have to get back to work. So I guess we're going to have to let you go. So until next week, keep your shit together.
Keep it together.
All time.